Namaste everyone, welcome to our yin and restorative yoga class with some gentle movement to warm up with. And at the very end, of course, 5 minutes of sitting in meditation. My name is Michelle Chua, and for this practice, you'll want to gather all kinds of props that you might have around or similar to these: 2 blocks, a strap, a bolster, and a blanket. Let's begin in a comfortable way to sit. We're gonna physically focus a bit on bringing the hips into flexion, which will look like different versions of forward folds. We also had a request to focus on opening up the hamstrings, so that will be helpful for that. And just all around leg focus. So find a way to sit in which you can start to bring a little bit of flexion into the hips by bringing the legs in front of you and turning out the legs. Some kind of sukhasana or easy cross-legged posture. So I was at a yoga teacher training this past weekend, and we were talking about how yoga is not all about rainbows and unicorns, meaning there's some tough things that we need to go through in our yoga practice, especially those of us who are on the path of yoga long term. So while many of us may have been brought to the practice, such as myself, but through means of, relieving stress or releasing tension in the body, ultimately the practice of yoga is about liberation of our minds, so that we can truly be the pure self within. And so what does that entail? Sometimes we come across situations in yoga, like different yoga postures or even breathing techniques or movements or meditation, in which discomfort happens. What do you do when you feel uncomfortable? Now, I'm not talking about those moments in which you might be crossing the threshold of what's healthy in a pose and going too far and perhaps inviting injury, not that kind of discomfort. That, of course, take a step back, don't go there. But I'm talking about the kind of discomfort that arises from, for example, when you're asked to be in a posture a little longer than you might mentally welcome. Like, let's say, 5 minutes in a restorative yoga pose. Well, sometimes it's difficult to be still. You start to fidget, start to look around, maybe reach for your phone, I don't know. So what are the ways that we distract ourselves so that we don't confront something uncomfortable? And so yoga is about going into that discomfort, of course, with compassion and in the manner in which you can still be okay with it, right? Because if we have trauma, I'm not asking you to push into traumatic triggers, right? Finding your own, using your own discernment to be in the fire, so-called, right? That's tapas. That's one of the practices in the 8 limbs of yoga, is going into the challenge and practicing stillness, or practicing stillness inside. Even if it's a moving yoga pose, the stillness is the stillness that's happening inside. But sometimes it's a physical stillness, like not moving when you're in a yin posture, right? Not fidgeting. Can we let go of that and even observe and bring a sense of curiosity? Because remember, part of a yoga practice is self-study. It's called svadhyaya. So when resistance happens inside, when we're resisting being in a posture, or we're resisting going to a certain outside of our comfort zone, notice what comes up. I invite you to become curious and ask yourself, like, where is this coming from? Where is this resistance to stillness coming from? Or where is this, whatever it is that's coming up for you? And get deeper into the layers, because that's the way we can start to shed whatever is covering up our light, right? Whatever might be keeping us from being that true nature Satnam, right? And then, of course, it takes practice. We chip away each time we come to the practice. And so that's an invitation today. Notice when discomfort arises, use your wise discernment to the extent of which to be in that discomfort, so it's not injurious, and observe your mind, observe your emotions, observe your body, observe your breath. What's arising, and start to build curiosity about it. All right, let's begin by checking in with ourselves. I invite you to take a moment to mentally scan throughout your physical body. Notice any areas of tension, notice any areas of openness, notice any kinds of sensations, all as information from your body. Begin to observe the breath without controlling or changing it. And what you can sense about your breathing right now. What do you notice about your energy? Bring your observations to your mind and heart. What's present mentally and emotionally for you? And no need to judge that or to judge yourself, including when we're practicing yoga. Instead, I invite you to bring curiosity. Let's begin to deepen the breath, allowing a few exhales out through your mouth. Letting each new breath become slightly deeper. Now, what is something right now that you could appreciate, offer gratitude for? And then begin to clarify your intention for your practice. Whether it's something specific in any area of your life, or it's a quality that you are reinforcing or inviting yourself to experience more of. Consider the qualities of courage and self-honesty as we practice self-study, curiosity, non-judgment. And then invite you to think of someone besides yourself that you would like to make an offering of your practice to today. A way of extending loving kindness to somebody else, supporting their well-being too, through your practice. And together, let's join our voices in support of each other by chanting the sound of interconnection, Om, 3 times. Let in a deep breath. To lead us into our movements and postures, let's begin a breathing technique that invites calm, focus, and balanced energy. Ujjayi pranayama, or victorious breath. So closing the lips, breathing through the nose. Inhale as slowly as you exhale, taking your time with the breath. while softly constricting the back of your throat to be able to hear a soft whispering sound in your breathing. As you listen to that sound now, establish a slow and steady rhythm that we'll move our bodies to warm up, and we'll use as an anchor for our minds, so that when you're holding still in the pose and your attention starts to drift away out of the present moment, you can come back to listening to the sound of your breath, which is only happening in the present moment. And with that, please start to make your way down onto your back. Grab a block as you lower down onto your back, and just set it aside near the rear of your mat as you lower all the way down into a corpse pose, straightening the legs forward, relaxing the arms down by your sides, and continuing to cultivate that slow, gently audible rhythm in the breath. Take your time as if you're filling up your entire torso with your in-breath, and taking just as long to release the breath through the nose. Now let's move that slowly. On your next breath in, raise your arms overhead and get a long stretch up and down your body. You might even point the toes. And as you exhale, contract your belly, hinge at the hips, and hug your knees into your chest, rounding into a compressed ball, lifting the head and shoulders. Let's try that several more times. Inhale, flatten out and lengthen. Exhale, contract the belly and contract the hips. Hug it in, round into a ball. 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, reach long. Exhale, contract. Inhale, lengthen. Feel the belly contract too. Exhale, round. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, round. And this time, keep your bent knees towards you. Relax your head and shoulders on the ground. And to the pace of your breath, holding your knees, inhale, rotate your thighs apart from each other. And exhale, rotate them back together. And keep going, switching directions spontaneously. Just bringing some lubrication into the hip joints. You might feel a massage in your glutes, lower back. Let's keep moving for another 3 slow breaths. Now hug your right thigh into your chest, straighten your left leg on the floor, and point or flex both of your feet just to bring more strength into the legs. And lift your head and shoulders, round into that bent knee. Breathe in, exhale, switch. Hold the other leg, round in, breathe in, exhale, switch. Breathe in, squeeze in, exhale, switch. Breathe in, squeeze in, exhale, switch. Breathe in, exhale, switch. Breathe in, and exhale, switch. Or actually release, no switching. So from here, bend your knees both, step your feet on the ground, take the block, and use the thickness of the block to hug between your thighs that allows your knees to be as close to your hips width apart as possible. And separate your feet just as wide apart as your knees. Bring your arms down by your sides close. Slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite, just almost. Spread your toes and press into the ground throughout the 4 corners of each foot. Press down through the backs of your shoulders. Tilt your chin back slightly to open your throat. And now let's prepare to lift the pelvis to the height of your bridge pose for one inhalation. And with the exhalation, we'll slowly lower the spine and pelvis. Let's try that 5 cycles of breath, really slow. When you're ready, inhale, lift the hips and stretch the fronts of your thighs forward, opening and lifting your chest. As you exhale, carefully lower your upper back as if you're lowering one vertebra at a time, tailbone last. Go at your own pace, inhaling to slowly lift up. As you keep your feet still, imagine you're dragging them back towards your glutes while you actively stretch the fronts of the thighs forward. Exhale, releasing one vertebra at a time. Really try to synchronize your movements as slow as you're breathing. Couple more cycles. When you've lowered the last one, put the block aside and windshield wiper your shin side to the pace of your breath. So inhaling, the knees drop in one direction, exhaling the opposite direction, several more times. Now, whether you rock forward to sit or you turn over to one side, find your way onto all fours, hands and knees to the ground. Spread your fingers flat and stack your shoulders over your wrists, stepping your knees a couple of inches behind your hips. Let's move through a few cat-cows, listening to your breath. Inhale as you glide your chest forward and roll your shoulders back and down. Exhale as you lift the belly and drop your head to round the back. Maybe about 4 more cycles on your own of Betalasana. The end of the next exhale, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog and allow a few breaths to explore moving your body any way it needs to move to loosen up. Those of you that ask for hamstrings, you could pedal your feet in place and gently warm up the backs of your legs. Keep listening to your breath. As you press the ground away with your palms flat, inhale, reach your right leg up towards the sky. As you exhale, bend the right knee and turn out the thigh at the hip. Inhale, stay here. Draw your left hip back, relax your neck. Then exhale, softly step your right foot to the right side of your right hand. Lower your left knee so you're in a kneeling lizard lunge. And feel free to place your hands on blocks if that allows you more relaxation in the shoulders so that you can breathe easily. Tuck the back toes. We're going to continue another movement here to the breath. So as you breathe in, let your pelvis sink. Lift your chest. As you breathe out, lift the back knee. Straighten your legs to whatever degree is comfortable while you bow inside of your front leg. Again, inhale, kneeling, lizard lunge. Look up. Exhale, scissor the right hip back, folding inside the front leg, pyramid pose. 3 more. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, lunge. And exhale, pyramid. Step back, downward facing dog. Let the body be still as you tune in to 2 deep breaths. Noticing anything you feel in your body right now or mind. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, bend that knee and rotate the thigh to turn out at your hip. Stay here as you inhale, draw your right hip back. Exhale, softly step the left foot on the left side of your left hand. Lower your right knee, tucking the toes, and feel free to prop your hands on blocks if needed. As you breathe in, sink your hips and lift your heart. As you breathe out, keep your feet where they are, lift the back knee, draw your left outer hip back to straighten your legs to your degree as you bow inside of the front leg, pyramid pose. Inhale again, kneeling lunge. Exhale, wide pyramid pose. 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale. And exhale. This time, step up to the front of your mat with feet at least hips distance apart, parallel to each other. And bend your knees as much as you need so your spine can really just unwind. There's no tension that rounds the back or shoulders. And as you let your head fall, bring the hands behind you to clasp or hold a strap between the hands. And with knees still bent, firm in the belly, and inhale, lift your chest. Draw the crown of your head forward, tilt your weight forward. Then exhale, bow in. Let's get a little deeper into the hamstrings. Now straighten your right leg as you bend your left knee generously and lean your torso to the outer side of your right calf. Keep leaning forward. Relax the back of your neck. Relax your jaw. Stretch the arms away from the back. And lift the shoulders away from the neck. Maybe even flutter the lips if the jaw tends to tense. Bend both knees, come back through center. Switch the interlacing of your thumb and index. Inhale, lift the chest and draw your heart forward. Exhale, fold, straighten the left leg and lean to the outside of it while bending the right knee generously. Keep shifting your weight forward, soften your neck. Float your shoulders up away from it. Deep breaths. Come back through center and bend the knees. Drop the arms, drop your head. And inhale to slowly roll up to stand, like you're stacking one vertebra at a time. Circle the shoulders forward and up. And as you breathe out, release them behind you and down. Join your hands in prayer, heart center, and feel the energy of your intention you set. Holding yourself up in that energy, let's move to the breath in half sun salutations, continuing to bring your hips into flexion with lots of forward folds. So offering gratitude to the sun, beautiful source of energy. As you breathe in, sweep your arms overhead, roll your shoulders back and lift your heart. As you breathe out, hinge forward from your hips. Press into your shins, 2 blocks or the ground. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward while softening your shoulders back. Exhale, drop your head and bow in. Press down to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rising all the way to stand, lifting your heart towards the sun and the moon. Exhale, join your palms from your crown to your heart center. Twice more, listen to your breath. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bow in. Inhale, press with your hands, lengthen forward. Exhale, bow in. Root down to your feet. Inhale, rise all the way up, lifting the heart. Exhale, marry your palms at your heart center. Now I'm just cueing the breath. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Pausing here. Maybe close the eyes and allow 3 deep breaths. What are you observing? And with that, let's come on down to sit. Start by straightening your left leg forward and bending your right knee so your right hip is in flexion. Flex your left foot and backstroke your right hand to the floor behind your pelvis. Sit up a little taller. You could fold a blanket and sit on that if that helps you to lengthen the spine more. Relax the shoulders. Imagine breathing up your spine from the bottom to the crown. Now keep your pelvis still, and as you breathe out, turn your rib cage to the right, just a little bit. Pause, press down through the pelvis, breathe up the spine in your mind's eye, and then exhale without turning the pelvis. Let the rib cage turn a little more. Keep going for about 8 more breaths. And if you can relax the shoulders and want to add even more leverage to the twist, you could hook the left elbow outside your right thigh. As you breathe out, unwind your spine. Now keep the shape of your legs. I'm going to invite you into a forward fold. We'll bring both hips into flexion, but especially the right hip, which is staying with a knee bent. So grab a strap. We'll also open up the fronts of the shoulders using a strap and place it around you from behind so you can see it on your left and right sides like this. Now, as you flex your left foot, press down to your sitting bones, hands alongside the hips, and lift your spine like you're really trying to open up the sides of the torso, create more space there. Bring the right arm forward inside of your right thigh and across in front of your right shin. With both hands, hold on to both ends of the strap and walk your hands as close together as you can behind your back. Some of you, if you can reach hold of your hands to clasp, or you can hold your left wrist, you can add that. Now press down to your sitting bones and lift your chest. Lengthen the back of your neck. Open your throat. As you exhale, slightly draw in the belly and think of your heart magnetizing towards your left pinky toe as you bow from your hips little by little, trying not to round the shoulders with the help of binding the arms. We're here for about 8 more breaths. With each in-breath, press the pelvis down and stretch the spine from the pelvis. With each out-breath, see if it's available to fold a little deeper. And notice what's arising for you mentally, physically, in your breathing. Press down to your pelvis and lead with your chest. Breathe in as you slowly rise. Release the arms, straighten both legs, and relax your feet. Maybe even shake out your feet and legs. Give yourself a moment. Notice what you're noticing. Let's set up for the twist first. So keep the right leg straight and bend the left knee. Step the left foot in front of the left hip and take hold of that shin. Flex your right foot, press down to your sitting bones, and sit up tall. Place the left hand behind your pelvis. And as you breathe in, imagine breathing up your spine to create more length. Keep the shoulders down. As you breathe out, keep the pelvis still and rotate your ribcage to the left just a little bit. Take it breath by breath. Inhale, press down, lengthen up. Exhale, continue to rotate your ribcage. Continuing for about 8 more breaths here. Now, if you can add the leverage of the right elbow hooking outside the left thigh without tensing the shoulders, you might opt to do that. On an exhalation, start to unwind the spine. Now keep the shape of your legs. Have that strap surrounding you from behind and out to your sides. And with your hands alongside your hips, sit up a little taller like you're trying to lift the torso out of the pelvis while the pelvis presses into the ground. Bring the left arm on the inner side of your left thigh forward and cross it in front of your left shin, taking hold of the strap on both sides. Walk your hands as close together as you can. Now, if your hands meet, you could either clasp your hands or you could hold your right wrist. Now, press your 2 sitting bones down. Keep your right foot flexed. And as you breathe in, stretch your spine diagonally forward from your hips. Slightly pull in the belly. Keep the chest and throat open. And as you breathe out, hinge forward from the hips just a little bit each breath. Remember, you've got about 9 more breaths here to explore the range of your forward fold. Pressing down through your hips, lead with your chest. Inhale, slowly rise up and release your arms, release your legs. Maybe shake out your legs and feet and observe. Let in a deep, deep inhale. Fill up your whole torso with a breath. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue. Release any sound, lion's breath. One more time, deep breath in, gather, gather, release. All right, let's set up for double pigeon pose or seated cross-legged forward fold. So start by turning out both thighs at the hips and crossing the right shin in front or on top of the left shin. Now remember, you could sit up on your pillow, your folded blanket. If the top thigh is lifting like this, you could put a folded blanket or any prop underneath the outer thigh to support it. Now, if your hips are turning out enough where you're able to stack your ankles and your knees, then you're in double pigeon pose, in which you want to make sure that you're flexing your feet in a way that you're pressing the big toe mounds out to the left and right walls. So you can't see the soles of your feet where you are. And this just helps to stabilize your knees. You're not laterally twisting the knees. You're turning out from the hips. Now, as you root down your sitting bones, in front of you, we're about to bow, you could stack as many props as you need so that you're able to rest your arms. You could stack your blocks and a pillow, one block for your forehead. so that when we fold forward, you're not trying to hold yourself up anymore. You can relax the arms and shoulders. So root down through your sitting bones. Oh, and we're going to be in this posture. Oh, there's my watch. For 3 minutes on each side. So get situated where you can commit to that stillness that we talked about in the beginning. Press down through the sitting bones, lengthen the front and back of the spine, and begin to bow forward little by little, adjusting your props to the height that can catch you. 3 minutes begins now. Remember how powerful your breath is as a tool to calm your nervous system and thus help open your body and to focus your mind. Tune into the very end of your next exhalation. Then afterwards, press your hands into the floor and take your time to begin lifting your head and torso. When you arrive upright, stretch your legs out in front of you, especially if you've been flexing your feet. Relax your feet or point your toes to do the opposite. And just pause, notice anything there is to notice coming out of that posture on one side of your body. You might be called for a deeper release through lion's breath, so feel free if you are. Notice the energy of your mind right now. Observing with curiosity non-judgment. Let's take our time switching sides. So turning out both thighs at the hips, cross your left thigh either on top or in front of your left shin, on top or in front of the right shin. And adjust your props as needed. You might need to make whatever you're sitting on thicker or thinner. You might need support under your left thigh. And if you are able to stack your ankles and knees, you're in double pigeon, so make sure you protect your knees by flexing your feet, the whole posture, pressing the mounds of the big toes out towards your side walls. And then arrange your props that are going to catch your torso and head. Root down to your sitting bones. Inhale, lengthen the front and back of your spine as you ground the pelvis. Keep your throat open, keep your shoulders relaxing down, and take your time hinging from the hips, breath by breath, adjusting the props to catch your torso and head so that you can relax your arms. 3 minutes begins now. Let yourself immerse in the sound of your breath. Listen for the very end of your next exhalation. Before slowly lifting your head and torso again. Slide your legs out in front of you and relax your feet. Maybe point the toes to do the opposite of flexing if you were doing that. And just pause. Notice whatever there is to notice. Did your mind welcome those 3 minutes of stillness? Where was your mind resisting? Just bringing that self-study into the asana practice. If the mind was resisting, what's underneath that? Why? The more we know our habits and patterns, the more we have freedom to choose. All right, let's get ready for our seated forward fold with both legs straight. Told you there's going to be a lot of flexion at the hips today and lots of hamstring opening. So again, adjust what you're sitting on as needed. So if you need a little more, if you know that your hamstrings are very tight today, you might prop your pelvis up. Let's separate the feet a little wider than hips distance and grab your blocks or pillows or pillow and block, whatever configuration of props that you might need to stack, so that when you bow forward, you can promote openness at your throat, shoulders relax, and long spine, but not rigid. So the shoulders can soften forward just a little bit, but not enough to close off the breath or add tension. So flex your feet and press the insteps of your feet forward, which will cause your thigh bones to slightly internally rotate, which in turn broadens across your lower back. Now, as you do that, firm your outer hips towards your spine, which in turn hugs the spine to traction it, and lift your spine from the hips. Imagine breathing again from the bottom of your spine to your crown while you press your pelvis down. Feel those opposite directions of energy movement. Now, as you breathe in, lift your heart, slightly draw in the belly, and as you breathe out, hinge forward just a little bit from your hips. We're going to be in this posture a little longer, 5 minutes. So arrange your props as needed so that you can completely fold in with a amount of support you need. And I invite you to commit to being still and as present with your breathing as possible. Observing anything surfacing within you. Especially notice any tendencies or patterns that arise. Notice where your attention is right now. Allow a couple more slow breaths. When you've emptied the second breath, press your hands into the ground and lead with your chest. Inhale as you slowly lift your torso upright. And take one of your blocks and let's lower onto our backs. We're going to do just a little bit of the opposite, bringing the hips into extension to balance things out, to help balance things out. So bend your knees, lift your hips, and slide the block wide across the flat part of your lower back underneath. You could have the block on the lowest height. You could stack 2 low blocks. You could tilt the block up on the medium height. But make sure it's in a comfortable, stable area because I'm going to invite you to then bend your right knee into your chest and straighten your left leg by pressing the heel of your left foot on the ground while flexing your left foot, not turning out the leg. So keep your left knee pointing straight up towards the sky. Press the big toe mound of your left foot forward, and you could circle your right foot at the ankle if you need to stretch out the foot. Ground the backs of your shoulders. If you're not feeling much of an opening in the front of your left hip, you can make the block higher underneath you. And just a couple more breaths on this side. Step the right foot down and bend the left knee into your chest. Take hold of the thigh or shin and slide your right heel forward to the degree you can straighten the right leg. Flexing the right foot and pressing the big toe mound of your right foot forward. Relax your left foot. Feel free to circle it out in both directions. From here, straighten both legs and press the insteps of your feet forward. You might even raise the arms overhead and get a long stretch, sort of like we did in the beginning. You could even point the toes if you'd like, but notice how different actions in the feet can affect what you're feeling in the fronts of your hips. So play with it. Maybe a couple more lion's breaths here. Deep inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, stick out the tongue, release any sound. One more. Remove the block from underneath and gently lower your spine, then pelvis. Notice if there's any gentle movement or easy posture you need before you invite your body to rest completely on the ground for corpse pose. Happy baby, straddle the legs apart, hug the knees. And you may like, especially since we focus quite a bit on contracting the hip flexors, during Savasana, you may like to either put a pillow or a folded blanket on top of the hip flexors, just giving them some soothing, grounding weight. Start to position your body in which you can splay out on the ground. Close your eyes. And I'm going to invite you into a simple breathing technique before we let go of controlling the breath. This way of breathing helps to relax the nervous system even more deeply. You might close the eyes and focus on expanding your belly as you breathe in and relaxing your entire body as you breathe out. So I'm going to count from 5 as we inhale and from 7 as we exhale. Few rounds, and then I'll invite you to continue a few rounds on your own. So empty this breath. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5. Exhale 7. Try at least a couple more cycles on your own. And when you decide to let go of the breath, consciously relax your entire body even deeper, inviting the natural flow of breath as you tune deeper inward, entering Savasana for a few minutes. letting your body continue to rest. Observe any sensations you're feeling in your body right now. Notice how your body feels after your physical yoga practice. Then slowly begin to move small parts of your body first, like wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, maybe keeping your eyes closed. Then ease into a simple stretch. And gradually turn over onto your right side, resting your head. As you pause a moment, observe your breathing. What's it letting you know about your energy right now? Then take your time pressing into the earth, lifting your body slowly. Find a comfortable way to sit in which you can feel alert, grounded, and relaxed. You might place your hands in a mudra, such as thumb and index fingers touching, palms face down, to ground yourself, palms face up, to help tune deeper inward, both for helping concentration. And maybe close the eyes as we begin our 5 minutes sitting in meditation. Letting the body breathe naturally. Feel the breath come and go. And anytime you get lost in thoughts, find the feeling of the breath to bring you back to now. How does your mind feel now? What emotions do you notice? And what did you notice about your mind during your meditation? And how might we continue this practice of self-study and being curious about our own patterns or areas of resistance throughout the postures of daily life? This is one way that we can take our yoga practice off the mat, so to say. Let's bring closure to our practice by offering gratitude. Gratitude to my teachers and the teachers before them, those who've shared the tradition of yoga over generations and generations. And anything you feel appreciation for. Remind yourself of your intention that you set. And remember to whom you offered up this practice today. And let's close chanting together 3 ohms, a way to send out the vibration we've co-created through our practice, as well as integrate that within us. So let in a deep breath. And bowing in, honoring the teacher within, the light within, the light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.